Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review. So tonight, I just got back from watching 28 Years Later, and this is my spoiler-free review. Now before I start this review, let me go ahead and say this first. Growing up, I never actually watched both 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, but a couple of days ago, I just started watching those two movies for the first time, and I thought both of those movies were really good. These two movies are easily some of the best zombie movies I've ever seen in my entire life. So when I heard that 28 Years Later was happening with Danny Boyle and Alex Garland returning to do this project, I was pretty excited, and this easily became one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I thought the trailers for this movie were absolutely insane, and that's how I got so excited for this movie. I've heard a bunch of mixed reactions about this movie. Some people love it, some people hate it, but guys, now that I have seen this movie, I think it's safe to say that I'm pretty much in the middle. I genuinely don't really know how I feel about this movie because this movie was so good until it wasn't. This might be the weakest entry in the 28 Days Later franchise, and I don't even think it's ridiculous to say that. There are so many things I want to say about this movie, so let's break down the best and worst parts of the movie. The first positive for this movie is the first act. The first act of this movie is one of the best first acts I have ever witnessed in my entire life, and it had me locked in. Overall, I thought the first act of this movie was really engaging. Another positive for this movie is the cinematography. The cinematography of this movie looks beautiful, and the fact that they were able to film this movie with iPhones is genuinely impressive. Overall, I thought the cinematography of this movie looked beautiful. Another positive for this movie is the acting. The acting performances from Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes were all great, and I thought they played their respective roles pretty well. But the one actor that absolutely stole the spotlight was this kid named Alfie Williams. Alfie Williams was the best part about this movie, and he put on one of the best child acting performances I've seen in a while. Overall, I thought the acting in this movie was really good. Another positive for this movie is the brutal, bloody action. If you're going into this movie expecting some blood and gore, you are definitely going to get that, and this movie does not hold back. I kid you not, I literally had to look away several times just because of how nasty and how disgusting the bloody and gory action is in this movie. Overall, I thought the action in this movie was absolutely insane. And the final positive for this movie is the emotional beats. I was not expecting this movie to be very heartfelt and very emotional, but it did, and I honestly thought the emotional beats worked. Overall, I thought the emotional beats in this movie worked really well. Now on to the negatives. The first negative for this movie is everything after the first act. Pretty much everything after that amazing first act just went completely off the rails, and I simply just did not care about everything that was happening in this movie. Another negative for this movie is the editing. There was a lot of really weird and janky editing in this movie that just took me out of the movie entirely. Another negative for this movie is the story. The story of this movie is not really all that coherent, and it just wasn't a perfectly executed story in my opinion. Another negative for this movie is the pacing. The pacing of this movie felt so odd, and I just kind of wish that it was a teensy bit longer. And the final negative for this movie is easily the ending. I am not lying to you guys when I say that the ending of this movie is one of the goofiest and dumbest endings to a movie I've ever seen in my life. The ending of this movie was literally giving off Power Rangers vibes, and it was so corny. Overall, I had a decent time at the theaters watching this, and I didn't hate this movie, but I also didn't love it either. I think it's an average movie at best, and I think it's by far the weakest entry in the 28 Days Later franchise, and the rating I would give for this is a solid 6.5 out of 10. But anyways, yeah, that's my review of 28 Years Later, and thank you for watching. If you want to see more reviews like this, follow me for more. Peace out.